So I think this has to do with the comparison of science, philosophy, art, how they all relate to each other. And so the impression that I gather with this is science deals with the clarification of phenomena. There's an object, a natural object, and through reason we abstract natural concepts from this object. Art deals with the expression and encounter of meaning. It's the subjective source of all evaluation. As David Hume, the philosopher, pointed out, facts don't give us values. Values come from feeling. Feeling is a subjective disclosure of our being and an approximation of the being of others. That's more or less the overlap of different wills. As what we call that culture, and then we call it morality, that sort of thing. Philosophy, on the other hand, is clarification. So it's sort of like the clarification of clarification. The clarification of science is the philosophy of science. The clarification of meaning is the philosophy of art, or the philosophy of meaning. We see that with philosophers like Plato and Friedrich Nietzsche. Many of the existentialist philosophers, their primary concern was the issue of meaning. But what is philosophy, though? Because, philosophy can talk about science, it can talk about art, but what is philosophy? So, simply put, philosophy is the clarification itself. It's not what we're talking about, it's the talking about it. That is the philosophy. So, you could think of philosophy like sort of like a mirror. There's the person in front of the mirror, there's the mirror, and then there's the reflection of the person in the mirror. The person is phenomena or meaning, basically the content, the subject matter. The object in the mirror, the reflection, that's the concept, that's the clarification. It's a representation, conceptual epiphenomenon with no intrinsic being to it. The mirror itself, which clarifies the object through a virtual image, that mirror is philosophy. Philosophy is the clarification of really all of our experiences, our knowledge, our beliefs, all those things really. And so you have three kinds of philosophy. You have the clarification of science, which is the philosophy of science. You have the clarification of meaning, which is the philosophy of art. But then you have the clarification of clarification. That's pure philosophy, or philosophy proper. That's where you descend into the mirror. You have two mirrors reflecting each other with an infinite regress, each iteration degrading in its representation. And way at the end of it, the limit of the human intellect, we call that the monad, or the monad, the one, Neoplatonism, that sort of thing. It's not the ground of being, it's not the supreme being. It's a conceptual epiphenomenon that abstracts all particulars into a singular substrate. It isn't real. The concept drifts you further from being. The more you get into the mirror, the less real you become. The more you get into philosophy, the less you start talking about reality, whether that's phenomena, how reality appears, or meaning, which deals with the being or reality itself. And so philosophy basically deals with that. It's a mirror. Philosophy doesn't really have its own goal or aim. The point of philosophy is sort of like a referee. They clarify the limits of what science can and can't do. So for example, if a scientist talks about theories and ideas that lack empirical basis, that scientist is doing philosophy, not science, because they're clarifying concepts, they aren't clarifying phenomena. If an artist is more concerned with the clarification of meaning rather than the encounter and expression of meaning, then they are doing philosophy of meaning, they aren't doing art. Art is about encountering meaning and creating meaning. And so, in the same respect, if a philosopher tries to focus more on the encounter of meaning than the clarification of meaning, they're doing art rather than philosophy. And if they're more so relying on the clarification of phenomena through empirical study rather than philosophical inquiry, abstraction, that sort of thing, then they are doing science, not philosophy. We can look at the history of philosophy and realize that various philosophers have been miscategorized due to the simple issue that knowledge is distinction. Without clarity of distinction, there's no knowledge. So we end up conflating different things as if they're the same thing. With philosophy, we see that through reason, we abstract different particulars to arrive at concepts. We look at various trees, particulars, natural objects. We arrive at the concept of a tree, a natural concept, a generalization of those particulars. You can take various particulars, abstract them and extract them, and then you arrive at the universal that expresses all particulars abstractly. And philosophers call that the monad, the one, Plato's form of the good, that sort of idea. The issue is that abstraction is an approximation of everything that exists. It is not the being of everything that exists. It's sort of, again, it's like a virtual image. It's not an actual being. It's like it reflects the structure of the human mind, not the structure of reality. And so, going back to the history of philosophy, Aristotle would be more classified as a scientist than a philosopher because his primary mode of inquiry was empirical observation. He relied on the senses, he relied on experiment, observation. Someone like Plato would be a philosopher in one respect because he's abstracted to the form of the good, the demiurge, takes these abstractions and places them over the material universe to give it some sort of order. But he shifts into art when he provides a moral framework. Again, going back to David Hume, philosophy and science can't tell you how to live because how you should live, which is a value statement, values don't come from the senses, they don't come from reason. They can be clarified by science and reason, more so by reason because value isn't something you can observe or measure in any literal sense. Social sciences kind of extend beyond what science can actually do. But meaning comes from feeling. That's sort of the evaluative origin of meaning. And so the clarification of meaning is the philosophy of meaning. But the generation of meaning, the encounter and expression of meaning, that's art. That's art's domain. So Plato, when he shifted into telling people how they should live, he was being an artist more than a philosopher in that respect. When he clarified that moral framework, he was being a philosopher of meaning. But when he provided or generated a moral framework, he was doing art. And so this ties into artificial intelligence as well, because artificial intelligence means artificial reason. It takes the capacity of human reason and externalizes it into technology. And so just as human reason cannot generate its own content, in other words, human reason cannot generate empirical data. Human reason cannot generate values. It takes data from the senses, it takes values from feeling, and it clarifies them through concepts, abstracting them into formal concepts and abstracting them to the monad, as we mentioned earlier. Artificial intelligence, being a replication of this sort of idea, extends this idea. Artificial intelligence cannot generate its own data, nor can it generate its own values. These are external, it lacks internal content. As such, AI cannot guide anyone. It's really the data guiding people, it's the values guiding people. So we may think that AI is in charge, AI will take over the world, when really it's the people, whoever feeds in the value structure to the AI, whether knowingly or unknowingly, they are the ones controlling society. It's not the AI itself, it's a machine, it's a mirror, it's basically the philosophy externalized into a machine. It's about clarification, it's a mirror. And so, there's people who don't like what they see in the mirror. That happens, We can look at a mirror and be like, oh, I don't like the way that looks. But that's what mirrors do. They don't lie to people. They show us what we look like.